Hey, everybody, this is Ken for episode 1, season 1 of the Overlay podcast. Brandon, are you with us?
I am with us here remotely.
Yeah, we're not actually together because it is still shelter at home during COVID-19 2020. I'm really hoping that we don't have to say COVID-19 2020 because that would infer that there's a possibility that it's come back like every year.
Right, that'd be bad. It might come back every year, though.
It might. Hopefully they come up with a better plan to not do what we're currently doing. But anyways, we'll kind of jump into it. So this is going to be we've officially named the podcast The Overlay. We've recorded a few other times before this, which we'll release kind of later, but we wanted it to be like the first episode of the actual Overlay podcast, brought to you by CCG Poker Radio.
I got nothing. That's a great intro.
Clearly I'm like the host and you're like the sidekick.
It's actually like
I'm Batman and you're Robin.
That's fine. A minute into this thing, it is a lot tougher to speak into the phone compared to like when we do.
There's a microphone.
And when we do the live streams and stuff.
Which we talked about, we're like, because people always ask, are like, how many times does it take me to do the vlog? And 99% of the time, and I know that's a high number, but it's a really high number.
Very high number.
95% of the time, 5 times out of 100, I have to stop and start over. Where I'll say something that I don't like, or I'll accidentally curse way worse than I normally want to, or I'll blurt out like my PIN number on my bank account or something, where like I have to start over. Or I'll say something I'm like, yeah, I really don't want that out there in the internet world, so I'm going to start over. But for commentary...
Now, you don't edit it, right? It's just you got to start all the way over.
I just start all the way over. Occasionally, I'll edit out if I'm like, fuck, what was that? Blah, blah, blah. And I'll like have like 30 seconds of me like looking something up on the internet. I'll occasionally like jump cut it, where I'll just cut out that 30 seconds and it's like, okay, we're back. And I don't like it though. I don't feel like it. I'm not very good at sitting in one spot or like facing the camera. You have to like get the same, orientation of where you are. Otherwise it literally jumps and you're in a different spot. It's like, what the hell was that? A glitch in the Matrix?
Right.
So
seems tough.
Yeah, it does. It's increasingly difficult for me. So let's talk about what we're going to talk about for our first episode, since it's on everybody's mind and everybody's locked inside. So now's the perfect time to launch a podcast and let people have some kind of in-home entertainment that they cannot get anywhere else, because as of right now, Brandon, where are we at?
We're locked at home.
Locked at home. Indiana, you live in Indiana. Am I allowed to say that?
Yep.
Okay, so Indiana and Illinois both on lockdown. We are right now on lockdown until April 8th, April 7th. What day is it? 7th or the 8th. 7th. Yeah. And you guys, I think, are maybe a week behind.
Yeah, I think it's the 14th.
Yeah, I honestly don't think Illinois is not going to extend this, but we'll see what happens. So all of this is based around COVID-19, which is the new technical term, right? They're not calling it the coronavirus anymore.
Right.
I heard it was because Corona sued the government for defamation.
Really?
No, I totally made that up, but it seems like something they would do.
That was a good bluff.
Yeah, I bluffed and got it through. So
I folded.
It's like a rare thing right now. It's something that has never happened in the gambling industry since the birth of gambling in general, the industry. Go ahead.
Oh, that was weird. Every casino's closed, basically, besides maybe 2 that are on Indian reservations.
And are even those still open? I kind of like Potawatomi finally closed, which they were
I think there's a couple in Florida, because Florida's crazy.
Oh yeah,
Florida
you showed
crazy.
me that when you were here.
I got a buddy
last
who
week.
lives in Miami that says like they still went through with like a music week parade and stuff, and they're just not complying like the rest of the country is. So those Indian casinos are still open, but even with their open, there's 1 or 2 games there.
Right. So even though the super degens, even those guys are afraid to go out right now.
Right.
I think I read somewhere that the Golden Nugget, since it opened in I don't know, whenever it opened, 19 something, 14, 15, 20, 40, 1940.
Yeah, I was about to say probably 40s.
Whatever it was like some crazy day. The day they had their grand opening, open the doors, open 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. This is the first time that they have ever closed the doors. And it's kind of eerie because, like, legit, Vegas has got, like, barricades up in front of the casinos.
Oh, they're like boarded up.
Right, like Bellagio is boarded up.
And
That's
so
insane.
I saw that the last time the Vegas Strip closed was the JFK assassination.
Oh, wow. I didn't know
And
that.
and like, what was that, 66? I'm just making numbers up.
November, 64 or 66. I don't remember. But close.
Something like that. They closed down for like 3 days, like the weekend or something. Like,
really?
and since then, it hasn't been closed.
Wow.
Yeah. So there's no action. We're supposed to be in the
60 years?
Elite Eight of the March Madness tournament. Obviously, that's gone.
Mm-hmm.
Sports gone. We got nothing left.
How many days in a row has it been for no sports?
I don't know. There's some Twitter guys that are
counting,
doing day number 15. I think it's around like 15 or 16. It was maybe
I think it was March 11th. Was that Wednesday? 11th
yeah,
or
that
12th?
was when the NBA game got canceled.
Well, they played those games that day, and then they said, hey, as of the next day, those are the last games.
College played that Thursday of the Big Ten tournament, because I remember watching Indiana played, and the coach of Nebraska who they played, which is he's a former Bulls player, but he was like super sick, and I was like, oh, what is this? And then by Friday they had Big Ten tournament had gone from fans on Thursday to Thursday night, no fans, to Friday canceling the tournament, to Sunday canceling the NCAA tournament.
Oof.
I mean, the dominoes just
flew. Fell fast.
I mean, there was fans in an NBA stadium Thursday night. Or, I mean, fans in the Big Ten tournament, which was in Indianapolis, Thursday night. And by Sunday, there was no tournament. And by, like, the following Tuesday, every sport, including golf, was squashed.
Not that I felt like it wasn't real until then, but
it felt way less real.
Yeah, maybe I was hit hardest when, like, the Masters got canceled or postponed. Yeah. Everybody uses the term postponed, except for the NCAA tournament. That just straight up got canceled. Everything else talked about postponed.
There's logistics with college kids in the semester and graduating and eligibility and venues. And it's way tougher than, like, the Masters can get postponed. And I'm sure any weekend of the year that they want to have the Masters, they can clear up and have the Masters. Like, the logistics nightmare of the NCAA tournament.
Yeah. No, totally. Like, absolutely. And again,
like, I don't think they could ever make that up, postpone it. Like, if it was still postponed right now, we would have no idea.
Because, like, let's say stuff gets back to normal, like, by September, where they're going to have huge, large groups like that together. Because even once they kind of let us get out of our houses here, whenever that may be, then at that point, there's going to be restrictions on the number of people that we can have on group gatherings. Don't you agree?
Right. Agree.
I don't know what that
is. It's going to go 0 to 100. It's going to go 0 to 10 to 20.
Think so?
Percentage, not a number of people, but I just mean, like, we're going to ramp it up slowly. It's never just going to be
right.
We're back to normal. Let's fill 40,000 people, and the Cubs can start playing.
And that's what I was going to say. Because the problem is, you get to, like, pro sports, and Wrigley. How many does Wrigley hold, by the way?
Like 42,
41.
41. Then they're standing room only. Like, in the playoffs, they rip like 42, 43,000 in there.
Yeah, that's going to be a while before they let 40-something thousand people get together, coughing at each other.
But now, did you see? You probably didn't see this, but the MLB Players Association said they're not going to have a season until, like, 3 things happen. And one of those things is they're allowed fans in the stadium. So MLB will not be playing a season with no fans.
Wow.
So they are going to start.
Meaning, if let's say here in the next couple of weeks, people are allowed to go back outside, and this social distancing is not...
right. And the NBA, let's say the NBA season starts with no fans because they need to finish. The NHL, they need to finish. I mean, there's 3/4 of the way through the season.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you can't just stop. Like baseball, they haven't started yet, so they're going to just push it back until fans in the stadium, whenever that is.
Wow. Well, let's talk about how this is affecting poker. I mean, besides the fact that nothing is open, and eventually the casinos are going to have to reopen, but there's a difference between casinos opening and poker rooms opening. And the reason I say that is because, when you're talking about slot machines, if there's these lower number of social gatherings that are acceptable or reasonable for this to kind of keep the I don't want to say contagious nature of it, but just, if they have some kind of limitations.
Sorry to talk over you, but they have the ability to literally shut off every other slot machine.
That's what I was going to say.
If that's an
or
option.
Make it where table games they're allowed 2 people at, right? Or every craps table can only have, 4 players at. And blackjack has a few and roulette has a few, and that would be perfectly fine. It would be very difficult to say, okay, in a poker room, we're going to have a dealer and 3 players. Because in all honesty, what fun is it to play a cash game with 3 players?
Right. That's just not feasible.
And you certainly can't play a tournament with 3 players.
No.
That's just silly. Somebody was like, "Oh, we'll just do all heads up stuff," and I was like, "Well, that we might have to, depending on what kind of happens, for charity poker in general." But, I think the problem is that poker is going to be kind of one of the last things that come back online because of the fact that it's just people jammed into one room at one table, and
it's 200 people in a room and 10 people at a table that's 8 feet long. So much for social distancing if you got 10 people crammed in.
Well, and then even throw more into it, just the nature of the game itself. Yeah, everybody's touching community chips, community cards. Every single person touches every single time, every hand that's played. At least in blackjack, you don't ever touch the cards. Roulette, I guess there's some aspect of that. Craps, everybody's got to touch the dice. But, I mean, you could possibly, change the dice every roller or something. So there's some easier situations, but poker, we're going to be in trouble for a little bit, huh?
I think so.
So that is the other thing that people keep asking, and there are bets out there in Vegas on if the WSOP is going to happen or if it is not. And gut check time, Brandon. What do you think that answer is going to be?
Definitely don't think it's going to happen when it's scheduled.
Which is what, like the beginning of June, end of May?
May 30th to like July 12th or something like that. I'm literally just making those numbers up. But the main event usually starts around the 4th of July. So, I mean, for all intents and purposes, it's over by like July 10th, besides like the closing event and the last people in the main event.
Yeah.
July 10th, July 12th, something like that. And it usually starts with the casino
employee
event, which is right around my birthday, which is June 2nd. So, yeah, all of June, basically. June and into July, and there's no way.
Yeah, so right now the 51st Annual World Series of Poker, I'm looking it up on the internet right now, starts May 26th. And then May 27th is the casino employees event.
Yeah.
And that'll run all the way through, middle of July. You banked it. I mean, you nailed it.
Yeah, that's just not going to happen.
I didn't realize it was that early.
It's also a difference between like casinos reopening and like people feeling safe too.
Yeah, we haven't even talked about that yet because some people are not going to feel safe, and I don't know if that's true or not. I don't think anybody really has the data or the, the knowledge to know exactly what's happening, right? I mean, we're all kind of guessing. It's the nature of a virus, right? We don't know. We have no idea.
All they can do is put the small numbers that they have into models and
hope for the best. And I'm not saying they're not educated guesses, but they're still guesses. Because, it was funny. I was watching. What was I watching? Johnny Vibes did a virtual meetup game on Zoom where they all played on, I think, Poker Bros app or something.
Okay.
And then they did chat in Telegram. So they were using 4 different things to kind of make this happen, which is a really cool idea. I thought it was
chatting
neat.
in Telegram, using that Poker Bros
using the Poker app, and then
Zoom.
actually web camming through Zoom. And what you call it? And some guy was like, "Oh, where are you guys at? Blah blah blah." And one guy's like, "Oh, I'm over here." And they're like, "Oh, hold on, my DoorDash is just rang the doorbell." And the guy's like, "You're still using DoorDash? Do you feel comfortable with that?" And I'm just like, "Good Lord!" I'm like, "How are people going to eat if now you can't even order delivery? Where as of right now, they just come to your door, leave your food, and then ring the doorbell, and run away.
There's ding dong ditch,
ding dong." DoorDash ditch.
Yep. I'm not gonna lie. I haven't ordered food yet.
Yeah. You've even gone one step above that. You got your home food delivery, and you realized it came from New Jersey. And you chucked that shit before it even got.
Oh yeah, I got HelloFresh. It was shipped. Oh man, I got a train here. This might be loud.
I don't hear it.
Okay, that's good. It was shipped to New Jersey and packaged in New York. I literally opened it up, saw that, was about to put the first thing in my fridge walked it out straight through to the dumpster, came back in, washed my hands. I was like, I'm out.
Well, I mean, that's kind of the whole point, right? Is that people don't even know, and now you're taking the extra precautions of throwing stuff away that probably is fine, right?
Yeah. Oh, probably 99.9% of the time. Like,
Right.
it would have to, like, somebody would have to have it that didn't know they had it, that'd be preparing the food or touching the bag. Then it would have to not die in the 2-day delivery over to my house. And then I would have to cook it, and it still
Because
lived
that's the
through me
stuff that,
cooking
like,
it.
nobody really knows. We don't know how long it can kind of stay on its own outside on, like, a door handle or a cardboard box or the mailbox or,
Right.
I mean,
Like, it literally depends on the weather. It depends
it's
on
insane.
the humidity. It depends on, like, how hard the surface is. I mean, there's just so many unknowns that, like, you don't know how many people actually got this thing from opening their mail. Like, could be zero.
Oh,
Could
wow.
be a lot more than zero.
Now I feel bad because I always make my wife go out and get the mail.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it seems kind of not cool of me. But it is what it is. So with that being said, I mean, the whole point of this is that people are just unsure. And if people are unsure, the turnout's going to be lower, right?
Yeah, I think even if, the Horseshoe Casino was to open their doors tomorrow and, say they're going to open every other table in the room and, max it to 100 people, like, I don't even know, even though.
And they're going to disinfect all the chips and use different setups every dealer
like,
change, half hour. And
I still wouldn't go.
What would it take for you to get to go? Like, they would be handing out gloves to every single person and masks? Is that going to be a thing that we're going to have to start thinking about? Like,
I don't know.
Huh.
I mean, yeah, gloves and masks might do it. I'm not really sure.
But I mean, you're a pretty avid poker player, Brando.
Yeah, I don't know. It's like I went there the Tuesday, 2 days before the NBA canceled their season. And I mean, it was in the news, and the people in Washington had it, and San Francisco Bay Area, they had it. But I mean, it was just like a joke at the poker table. Like, nobody, like, I don't even know if it's that much more unsafe today if we were to go in there, but it's just like the appearance that it is, or like the mentality.
Right.
And, like,
things have
part
definitely.
of that's probably the news just brainwashing us.
Yeah.
But
the one thing I will say political wise, and I'm not going to get too much into it, although you and I share pretty close views on a lot of things. So it's nice. That's probably why we can talk and not argue. But my kind of taking a step back and looking at this and going, what can we learn besides all the stuff that I wish two things. One, I wish media in general could be held to a higher standard of, like, knowing more before, not so much having better sources, or maybe being less freewheeling it out there, just being like, oh yeah, it kills 80% of people and this is and it's like they're yelling fire in a theater, and maybe there's smoke and maybe even a fire, but at what point are you saving people by yelling fire versus the panic you caused by yelling fire in a theater, right?
Yep. I mean, we can go down a long rabbit hole.
Yeah, I don't want to do that because this is supposed to be about gambling
either,
and
for sure.
But
yeah,
I really hope that maybe that there's some kind of new standard for media in general, newspapers and television, and just, held to a higher standard. Although it's all they're going to do is end up, when this is over in 6 months, 8 months, Lord willing, then it's the blame game. Who can we blame that is,
Yeah. I mean, everybody's
what good
blaming
does that
everybody
do?
already. It
Right.
doesn't do any good.
No, and nobody
if everybody
benefits
blames
from that.
anybody. It's like
Right.
nobody blaming anybody.
Right. Anyways. All right, so no WSOP. Your vote is no WSOP at all. Do you think they
they'll have the
postpone it?
WSOP in September.
So you're thinking like Labor Day weekend through kind of mid-October?
Yeah, and I would go.
I would
I'd love to go. It's great weather in Vegas that time of year.
It's true.
Past the summer.
Yeah, summer in Vegas has got to be awful. I've never really been to Vegas in the summer, although I guess I never really go outside when I'm in Vegas either.
We went last June. We went at the end of June, the week before the main event. We went last year, and it was hot. I mean, it was hot, but you spend 85 to 90% of the time inside. And the only time you're going outside is like switch casinos or like hit an Uber to go somewhere.
Right.
Like traveling around. I'm not really much like a pool guy, obviously, if you guys didn't know that, but it's like I don't really. I stay in the casinos and I stay in the hotel. And
you go to Vegas to
play poker and enjoy the amenities of that.
Right.
Not to go to the Drea's
Pool
Beach
parties and
Club.
yeah.
So
Should do
yeah,
too.
no WSOP.
No WSOP. How does this going to affect the schedules for like your HPTs and your MSPTs and?
Oh, that's just got to be a logistical nightmare.
Right.
I think they're literally probably just going.
I mean, how do you
almost.
how do you reschedule? Because it's like CCG as of right now. We do events every Friday, Saturday, Sunday, pretty much without any hiccups there. So now, if you typically only do Friday, Saturday, Sunday, how are we going to make up the events for the weekends that we lose now? Because I can't really just do 2 events on a Saturday and make it okay. It's not like the HPT can do an event at Ameristar in Chicago and do an event at the Ameristar in East St. Louis. Right.
Are you asking me what we're going to do compared to them, or?
No, I mean the plan.
We've devised a little bit of a plan.
We have, yeah, on multiple levels. Just an idea of smaller events if they need to be smaller and doing more events. This might be a way for CCG to break out into weekday events.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, we have the luxury of saying, well, we only operate 150 days a year anyways.
Mm-hmm.
So we can conceivably make up events
on the
just doing on the other days, on our off days.
Right.
We could still get 150 events in a year if we just do every Wednesday and Thursday for the second half of the year. Because we missed all the Friday, Saturday, Sundays of April and May or whatever, or March and April.
Because realistically, I think things will get back to semi-normal in May. I hope.
Yeah.
Problem
so
is,
there's the unknown of the weather too, which I'm a big believer in. I think the weather is going to help us out drastically.
Nice. Your conspiracy theories are based
no,
on
not
weather?
Conspiracy theories. But this is based on basically every virus dies in the heat.
Hope so.
I mean, do you get the flu in the summer?
Yeah, I mean, it's a lot less likely, right? I mean, if it's the same kind of idea as a flu virus or, which, again, I'm not comparing it to the flu because I know people are very poo-poo on that, but just the idea of, right, it's less contagious. People get less sick in the summer. It's warmer outside. Germs don't live as long.
I'm pretty sure it's just along the lines of if you got a cardboard box out in the 90-degree heat that gets delivered to my house, it'll never live on that.
Right.
Where here it could be living for 3 days on that, or 2 days, or whatever they're saying. Who knows? Some amount of time. Which is greater than 0.
I will say one thing that is really beginning to piss me off is every time something pops up on Twitter or something where it's like, oh, read this article about such and such, and I click on it and it goes, you are out of your daily allowance of articles from the Tribune. And it pisses me off every time.
Well, they have to get us to subscribe somehow.
I don't know. It seems rough. It should be free.
I mean, I agree too. It makes me mad too, and I just click out of it and click another article.
Yeah, then I just don't read it. Great. So now,
right. Then I'm like, you know what? I don't really know.
Right.
Really
so newspapers are making less money, and the public is getting less smart.
Yes, this is a win-win.
I don't want to say dumb.
Society.
Public's getting dumber because we can't read articles. So even the people that want to better themselves by reading the articles, we can't.
Right. Well,
wow.
We can. We just got to pay for it.
Yeah, 99 cents is a lot right now when nobody's working.
I know. I agree.
So what are poker players doing now that they don't have the luxury of playing live poker? And that seems to be something that may or may not be up in the air for quite some time. So there are some alternatives, albeit...
So you got Nevada, New Jersey, Pennsylvania, Delaware.
Yep.
You got them just chilling, playing
jamming
on
WSOP.com. PokerStars.
Yeah. Or PokerStars and WSOP.com. There's actually the series going on. I mean, those guys are loving life. They're literally in their bed 20 hours a day in their pajamas playing for thousands.
And they know that the fields have gotten bigger because those, recreational players, which is a huge part of the poker economy. It's just rec players going out and dumping money to better, more
having fun. You know, they're willing to pay the price
to enjoy themselves.
Losing $400 or whatever, two buy-ins at a 1-2 game.
Right.
To have a night out at the casino, drink a little bit, socialize, have a night away from the wife and kids, and have fun.
Right.
And they're going to lose their 400, literally probably 80% of the time.
Yep.
But they don't care.
Nope.
And that fuels the poker economy.
Correct.
So to get those guys, but those guys are never going to after dinner and they put their kids to bed, say, I'm going to go to the computer room and load up on the Poker Stars and fire a tournament until 3 a.m. because they have to work in the morning. They aren't going to go through all of those steps to enter the
You
online.
lose a big chunk of the players in general.
Right.
When
the
you
internet
restrict
games
them
are full of.
Right. And just to throw it out there, I mean, people are wary of the internet in general when it comes to online gambling.
Yep, I agree.
I don't know why we feel like it's perfectly safe to go to a casino and have a dealer deal to us that we don't know, that we've never met. Granted, they are regulated by, huge government bodies, but maybe that's the safeness of it. But, even Poker Stars in New Jersey, people are like, online's rigged. It's rigged.
Yeah, there's the random number generator. There's just stuff that
doesn't feel as real.
Human control.
Right.
And it really isn't, it's a computer spinning out algorithms and randomized cards, which is random. I mean, it's only as random as it could be because, if you want to get down
it's
that
probably
rabbit hole.
more scientifically random than that. But if truth
random.
be told, if you want me to use an app to flip a quarter versus just flipping a quarter, I would never choose to use the app.
Correct.
If I was like, hey, let's flip to see who's going to get shotgun, and the guy's like, oh, I have an app on my phone. You're like, I don't care. Find me a quarter. Like we're not going to do it that way.
Right. So, but there's just that feeling of uneasiness. Like it's probably the same, but it feels different. So there's those guys. Then for everybody else, I mean, there's these online-y home gamey apps that
which are kind of have been around for probably maybe a year or so?
No, probably like three or 4 years.
But they're gaining huge amounts of players now from the idea of that they cannot play anywhere else. They can't play at their normal home game. They can't play charity poker. They can't go to the Horseshoe. They can't go out to any casinos because they're all closed. And
the only way, and on top of it, I'm just throwing everything out there. It's not like they can just go sit at home and bet sports. Because let me tell you, when I was in college and I would bust on the internet or I had. As long as you had some sort of action, you felt okay.
Right.
Like speaking from an action junkie that I kind of am, I would consider myself an action junkie. I mean, it's one thing.
Yeah, the first step is always acceptance, Brandon.
Yeah, it's fine. I mean, I'm not going to lie. I would just turn on the NBA game and be like, oh, the Warriors are playing? Let me bet 500 on the Warriors and 500 on the over. And I wouldn't care about playing online poker.
Right.
Because I got $1,000 in action in this NBA game, and I'm hoping that Steph Curry just hits a three every time down, and I can laugh and drink beer and make 1,000.
Right.
And sometimes you lose and you're like, man, that was kind of stupid. And then you just rip the next game and
you double up the next game.
You're getting your action. But there's no sports, there's no horse tracks, there's nothing for degenerate gamblers or even people that make their living gambling or anything doing. They're resorting to these home game apps to get some action.
Which are tough.
There's global poker, which is not illegal.
But not legal either.
It's unregulated,
I think that's the biggest problem, and not a problem. It's the biggest downfall for the average Joe to want to play is that they're unregulated, right?
So, what if I had asked you a question, even though you asked me all the questions? What would you rather play in an unregulated global poker thing where you're depositing with your credit card and it's all going through some sort of processor, and then you get paid out in a janky check 3 weeks later, maybe, but you get the player pool of the United States, or one of these home game apps that is with 100 people in it, that's organized by somebody? Which is the better of the two evils here?
Yeah, I don't know, to be honest.
I don't know either, because one of them's unregulated,
Well,
the other one's just not regulated.
Right.
I guess that's unregulated.
Yeah, that's a good way to say it. Global poker is unregulated, and the home game is there's just no regulations at all. You have no idea, right? And that's the problem that most people have. They just don't know. They don't feel comfortable. They're not 100% sure. They just have no idea what to do. But, I guess that's kind of where we're at right now.
Right. This is what we've resorted to. And
we don't have anything else. Do you think that the possibility of this and the lost revenue in general for casinos, and I'm thinking large scale, I'm not thinking small, I'm thinking big. Illinois casinos right now are dying with the idea of most of them are not turning huge profits in general anyways. But then you get to the fact that they've been closed for a couple of weeks. They're going to be closed for possibly a couple of weeks more. And even when they do come out, there's going to be a huge downfall in just in profits from the casinos in general. Do you think this is a way that maybe state legislators can parlay this into getting more legalized online gambling? Poker being obviously what we're interested in. We don't care about blackjack or craps or anything else online, but I would love to be able to go log on to PokerStars and play in Illinois pools and have it be regulated by, IGB and all that kind of stuff. Do you think this could be used as a positive? I'm trying to find silver linings in every way that we can.
How could it be a negative? I think there's going to be people that are like, oh, this is a fluke. Vegas has been closed once since 1966. We got to get through this 2 months or whatever, and it'll all go back to normal. And then you got other people that are like, dude, this 2 months just cost us $300 million.
Right.
And it's not like.
And again, it's lost revenue. They can't make it up. Vegas can't be open for more than 24 hours a day, 7 days a week.
Correct. And just the side note here, think of Rivers. They spent all their money on their sportsbook.
Literally open Monday. And then everything got closed.
Yes. Everything was canceled Sunday, sportsbook open Monday. Or everything was open the previous Monday. There was 3 days of action.
Yeah, no, I think what happened was they opened that Monday morning to take live bets in the casino at Rivers, and then Wednesday the NBA canceled, and then the downfall of sports happened after that. So
they were open for 3 days.
3 days. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. And then sports
and now
no more.
They're paying that staff. They've got whatever they invested in it. They lost whatever millions that people would have lost during the March Madness.
Oh, my God. I can't even imagine that in general. Because Vegas at this time of year in March you said this is one of the most popular times that people go, right?
No, it's the most popular time of the year. I mean, everything was, because we were supposed to go last Saturday until Tuesday. So we were supposed to be there for 4 days right at the beginning of the tournament, from the round of 32 down to the Sweet 16. So the tournament started Thursday. We were going to be there Saturday through prime time. I mean, the hotels were booked. Booked. Not like, oh, it's an upcharging room. There's no room at Caesar's Palace.
Right. Everything's gone.
And none of those people showed up. Literally not one.
Yeah, it's a lot.
I know. When I went to cancel at Caesar's, she was like, why are you canceling? I was like, well, why do you think I'm canceling?
Right.
She's like, do you want to reschedule? I'm like, no, I don't know. When are you guys going to be open?
Right. It's a question I still get 2 weeks into this, and people are still saying, oh, when are you going to be open? I'm like, I have no idea. I don't know.
Your guess is as good as ours.
We're playing the waiting game. And the problem is I don't even think the people who make those decisions, like the governor,
they don't know.
I don't even think they know.
Right. I mean, they just put 14 days because it's 2 weeks.
Right. They're guessing. Hoping.
Right. Hoping
it works.
Horseshoe Casino said 14 days.
Last question to kind of end the COVID-19 first poker podcast of the Overlay podcast, brought to you by Chicago Charitable Games and CCG Poker Radio. Do you think any casinos close, anything happens, massive layoff, something super negative happens from this? I don't know, I always think of O'Shea's, but O'Shea's is not there anymore in Vegas. But the smaller casinos, do you think there's a chance that they go under if this lasts 2 months, 3 months? What's the...
Yeah, I mean, there's always going to be that risk, right? I mean, I don't think the biggies are ever going to lose.
But a Caesars, Treasure Island. Who owns Treasure Island? What group?
I don't know.
I think either.
I think it's actually M-Life.
M-Life, which is...
Let me look it up, actually. Really quick here, where you can meet up our time, they would be something like that, where it was the bottom of the big guys might lose their worst or second worst properties, something like that.
Yeah,
MGM's never going to go out of business. Caesars and Bellagio and Aria, but I mean, the
very unlikely.
The ones that are, have been trending downwards, maybe.
Well, I mean, think about this. I mean, think about Illinois casinos. Most of them have been turning smaller and smaller profits each and every year. How does a place like Peoria support a casino, post COVID-19?
I have no idea.
Yeah.
It really, I mean, like this. I mean, this. you think about this stuff dominating the people that are, the small businesses of the world, but you don't really think about the fact that like this thing could, cause casinos to close, Treasure Island to close. What big company? Cheesecake Factory. They gone.
Wait, what do you mean Cheesecake Factory's gone?
They can't pay their rent. They're out, closing, done, see ya.
Wait, that's official or that's like you're guessing?
No, that's like official.
Oh, I hate Cheesecake Factory. Did you know that?
I don't hate it, but their menu's a little too big.
That's the exact reason why I hate it. Like pick a genre. What are you? I can get pasta, pizza, sushi, pie, and a cheeseburger like in one plate. Like that's their freaking crazy sampler. It's awful.
Yeah, so you don't really know the effects of this thing because we're just taking it day by day, but it has the potential to destroy some huge companies. So I don't think that the casinos are going to be hurt that too terribly bad, just because they have to be managing their money well. They have to have cash on hand. They have to have an emergency fund. Whereas like the nail salon down the street, I mean, they're done.
Yeah, and then it's a trickle up and down effect, right? I mean, then it's like all the people who worked for Cheesecake Factory are now out of business, and
Right.
Yeah, this is
And the people that rent or give rent to, that rent out the Cheesecake Factory, they don't get paid
Right.
for rent. It just keeps on going up and up and up and down. It just has a trickle effect. You don't really know. So, I don't know. But in general, I think that the casinos are specific and they'll probably be okay.
Yeah.
They don't get bailed out, do they?
I don't know. Andrew Nemi posted something on Twitter where it was like, I wonder if the casino or the gambling industry is going to get any of that $2 trillion.
That's what I was wondering. Did they get anything in 2008?
Casinos, no.
Because I remember MGM was trading at about $4 a share back then. And
Wow.
I mean, it got back up and now it's back down. Like, I think it was like 8 the other day when I looked. I don't know if they fall into like the too big to fail, like a Boeing or something like that, or like these big hedge fund companies that just get
what about
bailed out.
airline companies? It's going to be rough.
It is.
Well, on that note, that super positive note, we're going to wrap up the first episode. Hopefully, we'll be bringing you weekly podcast from CCG World Headquarters. And,
I mean, if we're in quarantine for a while, we could just do daily. I can do this all day.
Yeah, I mean,
daily
podcasts from Ken and Brandon brought to you by, and just me getting notifications on my laptop where it's like, oh, Cheesecake Factory can't pay their rent. Uh-oh. And that's what we're going to talk about that day. So just like the first things that pop up on Twitter, I guess that's what we're going to talk about. Well, thanks for listening. We will catch you guys next time. Brandon, do you have any cool taglines that you're going to come up with for this one?
I have nothing, but I'm going to come up with something. Next episode, I will have something cool.
Brandon is going to come up with something.
For now, I'm out.
Good.
I got nothing.
All right. Well, thanks for listening. We will catch you next time. And thanks, everybody. Bye.
Bye-bye.